Good evening, viewers. Today's main story, The Voice. No voice is being given to The Voice, which is about Aboriginal people having a voice in Parliament. The elected Aboriginal people in Parliament are not being given a voice on The Voice because their voices don't align with The Voice. Other like-minded Aboriginal people are not being included in the inclusive discussions about giving powers to a specific race of people. Left white males who decided they speak for all Aboriginal people are speaking derogatively about Indigenous women with different opinions, describing them as sad, lonely, and a pathetic tiny minority. Voice advocates have said there won't be an Oxford-style debate because that would be legitimising patriarchal English culture. Some random white guy suggested a compromise by conducting a men's circle for men's business, but third-wave feminists, donning ochre face paint, mansplained down to him, saying this would be racist cultural appropriation. Anthony Overseas went walkabout in Wadeye and Alice Springs, and while invoking the dreamtime of his white ancestors, decided that in the true spirit of democracy, he might just implement The Voice even if Australians vote against it. Because his white man instinct, and like all governments before him, knows what's best for Aboriginal people. The Green senators contributed this statement on equity. We want race to finally be mentioned in the Constitution to get rid of racism. Interestingly, the UK, whom previously spent decades abolishing slavery around the world, have also decided to have a parliament that's now just for native people, white people, in order to once and for all be rid of racism. To Scotland now, children as young as 4 will be able to change their name and gender at school without the parents' consent under the new LGBT inclusivity guidelines drawn up by the Scottish Government. These 4-year-olds can now switch off parental controls on various platforms to watch R-rated movies, provided they are in bed before 7 p.m. Now 4-year-olds will also be allowed to drive straight to the gender change clinic ASAM. Young girls in Scotland are now allowed to use male toilets, but have been told not to look at the sinister men flashing their pee-pees. This greatly needed reform is also taking place right here in Australia. In Tasmania, a hotline has been set up to dob in any parents who refer to minor attracted people as pedophiles. To Stanistan now, the cultural practice of throwing gay people from building rooftops continues. We now cross live to the $50 million LGBTQI+ Centre in Melbourne to hear how far behind Australia is on homophobia as compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah, Australia's full of racist, homophobic Nazis.
To the economy now, Albo, after returning from China, listened to the growing number of Australians who can't afford gas, groceries, or their rising electricity bills, and has decided to fix the problem by committing to a $2 trillion climate change fund to help people on the other side of the world. Climate change protesters say they want more subsidised solar panels from Xinjiang, China, to stop the sky from falling. Xi Jinping agrees. We now cross live to the gender-neutral man whose t-shirt reads, "Muslims are welcome, racists are not." What would you like to say to the native Uyghur Muslims in their native Xinjiang province being wiped from the face of the earth in order for the Belt and Road Initiative to continue so that we can get more non-renewable solar panels?
I don't want to say anything against communism.
Let's skip across the pond now to New Zealand, now a signatory to the One Belt One Road Initiative, to hear the latest from Jacinda.
We will continue to be your single source of truth.
Spot on. After putting a new carbon tax on cows and sheep, Jacinda has decided not to run in the upcoming New Zealand election, but has been approached by various trainers to run for the Melbourne Cup later this year, where she is predicted to win by a tooth. As the flu season seems now to be non-seasonal, Dan Andrews is about to announce, after 2 years, what this miracle flu remedy was back in 2020.
Okay, everybody right to go?
To local tourism, the Melbourne Art Gallery now has a new exhibition especially for art that has been destroyed by climate change activists. The exhibition is called Finding Carbon Zero, One Fine Art Piece at a Time. Adjacent to this is an exhibition called Throw Up, with the most famous piece called I really couldn't be bothered putting in the effort, so I threw some paint on the ground. The postmodern artist describes the work as protesting the patriarchy of course being poor male artists who've dedicated their lives to fine art and died poor. The exhibit, also features pictures of white privilege. Here are some examples. Don't forget to buy this t-shirt to support this channel. Have a great week, everyone, and remember,
the sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
but really a big thank you to Dee, who just this week became a Gold Arrow supporter, a yearly supporter. I didn't even know you could do that on Buy Me a Coffee. If you would like to support True Arrow videos, please head over to Buy Me a Coffee and search for Sam True Arrow or True Arrow on Patreon. Thanks very much. Adios.